Greetings and salutations, everybody. This is FireSide again for the second ever FireSide chat for UFC Fight Night Dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev. Pretty good card up and down in store for us. There are certainly some betting favorites and a couple of underdog spots that are more than likely possible. So let's keep it short and sweet. We needed to see the weigh-ins for sure on a sketchy card like this. And our first fight of the night, Ronnie Lawrence versus Sayudgov Kakramanov. This is a fight where I had the Ronnie Lawrence side pre-weigh-in, and Kakramanov, he has a decent amount of thickness and size on Ronnie Lawrence. So if Ronnie Lawrence has a much better gas tank in this fight, that's for sure his path to victory. Otherwise, I think Kakramanov might get this one done. He looked really big. He looked like twice the size of Ronnie. I don't know if it's going to be a good night for him or not. I'll be rooting for him, but I actually swallowed my pick. So Kakramanov is my pick, and he maybe catches him. Otherwise, he's going to fight off his wrestling and maybe win a decision. Finds a chin, more than likely. If that's the case, I'm thinking. It's going to be very demoralizing for Ronnie if he can't get this guy down. And more than likely, it's going to wilt him from there. Trying to remember a fight tape and his fight against Trevin Jones, who matched his size and strength. He had a good fight there. So, switch my pick. Kakramanov, fight number 2. Kennedy Zachukwu versus Carl Roberson. Two guys that you really want to fade, of course, right now. I know that I had money on Kennedy when he fought the Iron Turtle, and he just shelled up and got elbowed. It was a very strange fight, and he just essentially quit. And I bet against him in his last fight, and some money betting against him. And I did have Carl Roberson against Khalil Roundtree, and Khalil kind of melted him. I don't know what that was about. Maybe he didn't take him seriously, or no one was stopping Khalil that night. But Roberson looks like the more powerful guy. He's looked like to me to have fought the better competition. I know Kennedy fought Paul Craig early in his tenure, but I think that was more of a testing fight to see where Craig was at. Roberson will use his grappling. He has a few submission victories on it, so I might sprinkle a little bit on him by submission. And I think he's the pick. He looked to be stronger, and Kennedy just doesn't have a ferocity that you want in a fighter, especially in a small cage. So unless he's coming out like an animal and surprising a lot of people, Carl Roberson maybe wants this more. So he's a pick for sure. Next fight, David Onama versus Garrett Armfield. Of course, Armfield is a last-minute replacement. David Onama's opponent had previously dropped out, and Armfield is actually moving up a weight class, and he looked a weight class smaller here, kind of like a Frank Yeager type in his heyday, but it's not the fighter to be smaller against, because that power is going to shine through. They had an amateur fight, 3 3-minute rounds, I think, and it went to decision, so that is for sure a possibility. Onama, I'm thinking, is probably going to stop him here. He's a huge betting favorite. It's not really a surprising pick, but on to the next one. Cody Brundage versus Trayshawn Gore. Cody Brundage is about twice as experienced as Trayshawn, who is perceived to be the much more explosive fighter. I don't really knock anyone who gets flash KO'd by William Knight. These guys are pretty heavy-handed at middleweight and up. Right there at welterweight, it seems like the knockout percentage starts going way down. I know. It's still pretty high at lightweight and up, but in middleweight and up, it's way higher. I'd love to see the stats on that, actually. Just having watched it for a long time, these guys hit really hard, and it's obvious, and anyone can catch one. But Cody Brundage, I think, knows his job here, and he's going to take his grappling to Trayshawn Gore. He's a big dude. More than likely he's going to impose his will on Trayshawn. I like him by submission or decision. Of course I wouldn't be surprised if Trayshawn knocked him out somehow. It's explosive. It happens. It's MMA. Cody Brundage, let's get it done. Fight number 5. Antonina Shevchenko versus Courtney Casey. I thought Antonina would be a lot longer by comparison, and they're about the same size in face-offs. And Courtney Casey needed the ring of shame or the drape of shame to make weight. I don't really read too much into that. She had like headband on and all this other shit. But Courtney Casey will set a pace that I think Antonina cannot keep. So let's say Antonina is just going to find her finish early. I feel like Courtney Casey just finds her grappling moments. Maybe a late submission would be pretty crazy. There could be a lot of submissions on this card. And, Courtney Casey by late submission or decision. Maybe round 2 submission even. Kind of question Antonina's heart lately. I don't know what's going on there. But her sister having 2010 women's head and arm throw instincts against Ty Santos was very alarming. Almost cost her that fight several times. Anyway, I'm getting a little off track. On to fight number 6. Elman Zahabi versus Ricky Tercios. I'm going to be honest. Pre-weigh-in, I had a parlay, and the first leg of it was Ricky Tercios. I think he's going to set a pace that Zahabi can't keep. And at weigh-ins, he looked really big next to this guy, and we know Tercios has a tank. So we haven't seen Tercios in a while. He's been training. UFC wants these exciting guys. They're going to press forward always. And Zahabi's the perfect matchup for him to just push through, outland, outstrike. I don't know about out-grapple. He's a guy that kind of like pulls guard, which is kind of like a low fight IQ in this state of UFC, unless something really changes in the grappling rule sets and scoring. But his output might be triple Zahabi's at the end of this fight. Zahabi's going to have to tag him to win. Maybe have his moments there, but I picked Tercios by decision. That was my pick, or late finish or something. Zahabi is definitely a smaller fighter at weigh-in. So number 7, Michael Johnson, Jay Malarkey. I'm really looking forward to this one because MJ always brings the 1-2s, the straight punches, which is exactly how Jalen Turner lit Malarkey up in their fight. And we know Michael Johnson finds his range well, and he hits on the end of those punches. And he will tag Malarkey in the first round. However, Malarkey is a thick boy, and he does wrestle if he has to. And that is going to be old MJ's kryptonite. And weigh-ins gave me an eerie feeling because MJ was just looking a little, he does look older next to this younger guy. But what I do not like about Jamie Malarkey is getting, one, there's no shame in getting pieced up by Jalen Turner, who is an absolute beast and someone that could be the future of that division. So it happens. But it only happened 4 months ago. So MJ is ripe to get a flash KO. This guy has not had enough time off. He probably just accepted any old fight. Got cleared easily. Didn't have too many symptoms, but you know how it goes in the fight world. You're getting KO'd. You need longer than 4 months, guys. That's not good. So if MJ really has anything left in the tank here, he's going to find Malarkey for that KO. So he'll find the chin. Seriously, the tape showed this guy just eats straight punches like ham sandwiches. I'm happy to be proved wrong. Michael Johnson by knockout. Maybe second round, maybe first round. Patrick actually brought to that fight and put on a pretty good grappling pace. So that's another thing. Patrick is also a pretty big dude and grapple heavy. It's kind of chaotic, but Jamie Malarkey and the grappling is going to bring nothing that Michael Johnson for sure hasn't seen, especially from someone like Darren Elkins and those guys. So if he has anything left in his legs, he's for sure got this fight, and he's going to find plenty of punches, straight punches to Jamie Malarkey's face. Let's go, MJ. That'll be a fun one. The next one, number 8, is Cynthia Calvillo versus Nina Nunes, and I like Nina Nunes by decision. This could be an uneventful fight, kind of, with a couple moments. I like how Cynthia Calvillo is still trying to find her career. I think she's just switching around gems with each loss, trying to figure out who a good coach is. Maybe she's found it. Someone quitting on the stool, of course, in women's flyweight or below is a very big problem because, of course, those women don't pack a huge punch. So, yeah, I mean, there are a few exceptions. But not a good look for Cynthia. I'd like for her to at least prove that she wants to still fight and isn't just there for a paycheck. It's also the OnlyFans fade, so let's go with that as well and fade the OnlyFans and pick Nina Nunes. If she gets a finish, it would be kind of cool, just to see a finish. But might mess up a couple bets because I know people are probably going to have either by decision or this fight goes to decision. I mean, it's a decent prop parlay piece and all that sort of jazz. So Nina Nunes, good luck out there. Number 9, Jared Vanderaa versus Chase Sherman. So this was the second leg of the parlay that I had before weigh-ins, and I had Jared Vanderaa before weigh-ins because, you look at the Romanov fight, you look at Chase Sherman's willingness to grapple whatsoever, and he just kind of succumbs to what his opponent does if he's on his back. Doesn't have good hips, doesn't have good instincts, just kind of like grabs and holds and does strongman stuff. Not even similar to Derek Lewis, because Derek Lewis does it correctly, but Chase Sherman does what he does on the ground. However, weigh-ins proved something differently for me, and it actually scared me off, and I cashed out. So I'm going to restructure something on that end, because Chase Sherman looks bigger than this guy. He's thicker, more muscled. His weight isn't fat. um, like Jared Vanderaz is. And he also has double the fight experience, whether it's quality wins or losses. He has been there. And yeah, that for sure scared me off. So I'm just going to pick Chase Sherman. Maybe he gets the knockout. Maybe he gets a decision win. But straight pick's good because I think he's plus money. So he looked bigger. Jared Vanderaa, man. The kind of shape he's in, I don't understand that stuff. Anyways, maybe he's working on it. It'll be a fun fight. Classic heavyweight. Maybe Jared Vanderaa gets the Arlovsky split. That would be funny. Number 10. One of my favorite fights, pre-weigh-in. I really liked Silva de Andrade. He's facing Said Nurmagomedov. So Nurmagomedov, you instant bet the name, right? At least that's what most people do. But I kind of wanted to wait here because if Andrade was a lot bigger than him, I wouldn't like the matchup as much. And it turns out that Nurmagomedov kind of towered over him and looked a little thicker too. So, man, I don't really like this fight anymore for Silva, and I definitely see why the line is as wide as it is, but I just need to see them next to each other. I do love Silva de Andrade as a dog, so that's why Said, I don't really like parlaying him too high up just because Silva has fuck you power. And anyone can be clipped. You gotta remember, Islam was clipped by a guy just like this. And his power in the Morozov fight shined through. Really ruined Morozov's game plan for that fight. And all of his momentum had him scrambling. Found the win. It was cool. It was a hype fight, if you saw it live. Yeah, Said most likely finds his finish here. I don't really like that size disadvantage. Like, Morozov wasn't that much bigger than Andrade, but Said is, he's more like a Zabit Magomed Sharapov than he is a Khabib Nurmagomedov, despite being a Nurmagomedov. But that's kind of how his skills translate, in my opinion. So he's kind of got tools all over the place. I just want to see him kind of pushed and see how he reacts. This is a good guy for that, so buckle up because that's a great fight. And bare minimum, Said gets to show off because Silva's game. I love watching him fight. So I switched my pick after weigh-in. Said Nurmagomedov. On to the next. Number 11, fight 11, Chao Braulio versus Armen Petrosyan. Yeah, Chao Braulio was the final leg of the parlay that I had. So I had Chao, I had Jared Vanderaa, who I'm now really scared off of, and I had Ricky Tercios. And I cashed it out because I don't like Jared Vanderaa anymore. So we'll see what happens. Even if he wins, I don't care. We'll figure it out. Chao Braulio. Man, oh man, this guy is Damian Maia trained and shows it on the mat. This is a small cage. Massively favors this guy. Can't wait to see how each fighter responds to the other's clear game plan. These are some of my favorite kind of fights, even if Armen gets smoked on the mat or Chao catches one on the chin. And it's not so much close, but first round will be a lot of fun to see how Armen deals with Chao's entries into his world on the ground. Because in his last fight, he his opponent followed him, and he just instantly reversed position with a beautiful sweep, and the rest is history. He just kind of wilted him and got his win. Arman, I didn't really think he necessarily won the fight against RoboCop, but he was given the win. RoboCop, bad game plan that fight. That's all I'll say. I might have been on him live when that fight was happening. I remember being really disappointed in how he fought, but I know he probably thought he was landing the better strikes and hurting him and whatnot. Had the grappling, and the judges just didn't give it to him. So, ciao Braulio, let's get it done. I'm excited for that one too. And the main event's amazing. So Rafael squared. Fiziev versus Dos Anjos. And, of course, it's easy to cap, but you got to pick a side, right? And I will always pick the better grappler, wrestler in the small cage, and also in a 5-round fight when their striking is serviceable enough to get it there, and also when I know that they will use it. And Rafael will, unless he's deadened by a Rafael strike. So, fight doesn't go to the distance. Most likely, Rafael has to kind of prove, especially at this price, because I don't really like it. Because Rafael's ground game is so freaking good, and I really don't know if Fiziev is rolling with guys his skill level in the mat with his kind of jiu-jitsu. Even if he's rolling with Russians, it's not quite the same. There's a different sort of flow and less strength involved in their technique compared to jiu-jitsu, which I mean is more flowy, less strength involved in some aspects, but the technique and the angles and the leverage, of course, all applies. My pick, and I don't really think it's changed, Fiziev was kind of hiding his physique next to Dos Anjos at the weigh-in stare-downs, and Anjos looked good to me. He didn't look too drawn out or raspy or anything like that. He was moving well. I mean, until he proves 100% that he can't take someone like Fiziev down anymore, who's a pure kickboxer with just a couple-year focus on grappling and wrestling to round out his game for MMA. Unless there's something I just don't know about him. I mean, of course, I haven't trained with him in a grappling room. I can't judge him perfectly, but I think Rafael Dos Anjos by arm triangle. I'll be betting the exact prop. I'm waiting for the line to get as wide as possible on some of these dogs when there's public perception and a hype beast kind of like Rafael Fiziev. I mean, for good reason. But I'd just like to be shown it, especially if I'm going to like tie parlays and other stuff to someone that's, 2-1 and worse odds. So that's it. Front to back. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, and I'll keep it going. So, sketchy cards, gotta see weigh-ins. It's really important. So, good luck, everybody. Till next time. I'll see you on FireSide Chat.